In Afghanistan, the Taliban is refusing to cooperate with a UN mission, banning its human rights expert from entering the country. The UN has criticised the Taliban's new so-called virtue law, which prevents women from singing or raising their voices in public. Afghan women are attempting to protest the latest crackdown on their rights, despite being silenced.
You made me a prisoner in my home for the crime of being a woman. So sings this unidentified woman from the Afghan capital Kabul, which was posted on social media. In another video, this woman from the northeast of the country is also protesting the Taliban's new morality laws. They include a ban on women singing and even reading aloud in public. No to Taliban, these women chant. They're among a number of Afghans living in exile who've also taken to social media. They're defying the vice and virtue laws, which state a woman's voice is intimate, so shouldn't be heard outside the home. The Islamist group has also made it a punishable offence for a woman to show her face or body in public. This is just the latest move to restrict the rights of women and girls in Afghanistan.
The newly adopted law on the promotion of virtue and the prevention of vice by the de facto authorities in Afghanistan cements policies that completely erase women's presence in public, silencing their voices and depriving them of their individual autonomy.
Just weeks after returning to power in August 2021, the Taliban began segregating male and female students. A year later, it had banned women from attending university altogether. It also prohibited girls over 12 from going to school. Women have been barred from most areas of public life.
During these 3 years of Taliban rule in Afghanistan, they've tried to eradicate women, starting with closing the schools and universities, and then taking the work away from them.
The Taliban's new laws also impose rules on men's clothing, as well as bans on playing music in public and taking photos of living people. But it's their restrictions on women that's forcing some to raise their voices, even though that's now illegal.
I'd like to welcome Pashtana Durrani now. She's an Afghan human rights activist based in the US. Her work focuses on education and she founded Learn, a non-profit organisation in Afghanistan. Welcome to you. This new virtue law by the Taliban tries to prevent women from singing in public. What is it about singing that the Taliban doesn't like?
I don't think it's about the singing. I think the voice and virtue law also says like women are not allowed to be in public in the first place, but then also they cannot speak out loud. I think what they're trying to do is objectify and sexualize even a woman's voice. But then again, you have to understand that in the past 2 decades, where were women? Were they singing in Afghanistan? Who was doing that in the first place? I think they're just running out of ways to invent a new way to get attention, and this is what they're coming up with. But then at the same time, the Taliban have in the past stopped singers from singing and have said that singing is haram. So I think it's also part of that, drawing on that.
Okay. You're based in the US, working from there to try and help Afghan women. When you see women like we just saw in that report, publicly speaking out for their rights and singing, how concerned are you for their personal safety and potential repercussions?
I think I would be very concerned, and I am concerned, because one thing that we completely ignored and have been ignored in the past 1 year is there are multiple reports that women are being arrested who are talking out loud or are even outside protesting, or even when their identities are disclosed in one way or the other. But then the most important thing is they are not treated rightly. Some of them are even assaulted and abused. So you also have to understand that in a in a country and a community like Afghanistan, it's very hard to talk about these things, even if they happen. So it's very concerning to even know that this is something that might happen to them.
Thanks for spelling that out. I'd like to sort of go into this slightly more. The Taliban, as we all know, have clamped down on women's rights and freedoms. What does that mean, though, in a practical, day-to-day sense for women and girls? What is life really like?
Let me give you an example. It's just like I live in a house where my brother can go outside. He can go to a job. He can go to school. He can go outside and play football. If he wants, he can hang out with his friends. If he wants, he can go on all these long drives. If he wants, he can leave the country. He can do all of those. But then if I'm there, I cannot do any of those. I cannot go out. I cannot go to a salon. I cannot take a walk in the park. I cannot go out even with my loved ones. But most importantly, right now, even my voice is objectified and sexualized in the eyes of the Taliban.
Pashtana Durrani, an Afghan human rights activist, thank you so much for spelling out the situation for women in Afghanistan, and all the best to you and your work. Thank you.
Thank you.